1,500 people here on hand for the women's individual event finals. And it's a great day, and certainly the big story here, Kathy Johnson, has been Shannon Miller, the #1 gymnast in the world by virtue of her world all-around title this spring at the World Championships, has won a team gold medal. She won an all-around gold medal the other day, and she opened the competition here with a vault gold medal, which happened earlier. Kathy, let's take a look at that performance.
It is just remarkable how consistent this gymnast is. Time and time again, she comes up with near perfect performances. Watch the landing on this vault. It's becoming her trademark. Legs perfectly together, and she doesn't budge. She scored a 9.8 with that vault. That vault is only worth a 9.8, so in essence, that was perfect.
Once again, Kathy, her technique is superb.
What's most impressive about this vault is the flare position after the twist. She opens up, spots for the landing, and as always, comes up with a perfect one.
So now Shannon Miller is getting ready to perform on the balance beam. Here are the final results of the competition in the vault. Shannon with a 9.775 average of 2 vaults earns the gold. Kim Arnold with a 9.7 earns the silver, and Heather Brink earns the bronze. 13,500 people on hand, and of course a lot of young up-and-coming gymnasts here to see perhaps the greatest star in the sport of gymnastics currently is Shannon Miller. And this is a special day for this young lady because this is a homecoming of sorts. Her grandparents on both sides of her family are from San Antonio, and they're in attendance today. You're also getting a look at Tanya Myers, who we'll see on the balance beam, and behind her is Carrie Strug, who just at 15 years old has been an Olympic bronze medalist and competed for the U.S. on 3 different world championship teams.
She is really beginning to come into her own as an individual. She's been so consistent and been an excellent part of the U.S. team. As you mentioned, at 15 years of age, already 3 world championships and Olympic games. And this has been an opportunity for her to really shine. She's having a little bit of trouble with her calf muscle, unfortunately, but you can hardly tell in her performances.
Carrie Strug, of course, having to struggle with being in the shadow, perhaps, of Kim Zmeskal when she won her world all-around title, and now of late in the shadow of Shannon Miller, who is the #1 gymnast in the world. But Carrie Strug, as you mentioned, is starting to come into her own, and we'll see some of her performance here as well today.
Shannon is really beginning her peak for the U.S. Championships in just less than a month. And we were talking about before the competition, we're really seeing a lot of snap in her routines here. A couple of weeks ago, her back was really bothering her during a competition, and we didn't quite see that, though she did hit and she won the competition. Now not only is she winning, and she's the best gymnast here, but her routines are beginning to take on that peak performance look.
When you talk about that in terms of 1996, everyone's saying, boy, Shannon Miller is going to be the #1 gymnast by 1996 heading into the Olympic Games, but it's going to be difficult for her to pace herself for the next 3 years. We talked to her the other day about this competition and where this fits in her busy international schedule.
Well, I'm competing in the competition to mostly get my routines down before championships, and this is just kind of a fun meet that I get to do. The fun comes when you go to a competition and you do well there and you get excited, and and you get to travel all over the place and you meet new people.
There, of course, is Shannon Miller getting some final instructions from her coach, Steve Nuno, who has the top program for women's gymnastics in the country currently. In many ways, took over the reins from Bella Caroli, who has produced so many great champions down at his center in Houston, Texas. Now, many of the top gymnasts in the country are coming out of Edmond, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma City with Steve Nuno.
Shannon is first up on the balance beam for these event finals, and normally for another gymnast that could be a problem. Typically the scores are a little lower at the beginning. The judges are tight because they've got so many gymnasts to come, and they want to leave room at the top for better performances, but she could definitely be the best. She was a tiny bit off on that front somersault mount, which is a new mount for her, but nobody would know because she covered so well. She normally goes into a dance element. Beautiful. very difficult combination, combining a dance element right into an acrobatic element. The rules have gotten much more difficult. They demand a higher level of difficulty from the gymnast. This is 2 layouts in a row. Excellent precision, as always. Watch this skill. It's very original. It's called the Miller.
Oh, and that one was right on. I think that's the best we've seen her perform that. Little extra pressure when you're performing a move that's named after you. You better hit it.
Shannon has always been superb on this event. Just an uncanny sense of balance and control. Here's a dismount, full twisting double back. Very nicely done. Shannon is so far ahead of the code of points. The level of difficulty isn't even in question for her. The routine is certainly worth a 10.0.
You can see that she is having a little bit of wincing in her face, and she's been struggling with a back problem for about a half a year. Some tendinitis in her lower back, and although the doctors say there's nothing serious, it is painful.
And unfortunately, because of the time of the season, she's getting ready for USA Championships. She really cannot rest it until after that. But as you said, the doctors cannot find anything wrong with it, so she's not doing damage, they feel. So she's certainly started off the balance beam competition very well.
Well, the score, a 9.9 for Shannon Miller, which earns a wave and a slight smile from a young lady who clearly seems to be in a little bit of pain. A little extra pressure on her because she's performing in somewhat of a homecoming. The grandparents are here. And, well, this is one of her teammates up in Oklahoma City, of course, trained by Steve Nuno. This is Mariana Webster. She's 14 years old, originally from Missouri.
And won the bronze medal in the all-around competition.
Kind of a surprise here, wasn't she?
Similar skill that we saw Shannon Miller perform. Here's her tumbling sequence. 2 layout somersaults.
At 4'7" and 72 pounds, she is your typical height and weight of a world-class gymnast.
She tried the same skill in combination, which now is an important part of the new code of points. They can receive bonus points by combining difficult elements. One way to draw comparisons between the top gymnast in the world and those who are up and coming. Little things like pointed toes and straight legs and full split in the leaps that we're just not quite seeing yet from this gymnast, but certainly will come.
Those congratulations from Peggy Liddick, who is the beam coach at the Dynamo Gymnastics program there in Oklahoma City. And let's take a look at that dismount one more time.
This is a double back in tucked position. It's become a very common dismount in gymnastics, and most of the gymnasts are now trying to add a twist to that to get a little more difficulty in.
It's funny, we talked with her, and she said she likes going to the movies, reading, horseback riding, shopping, and sewing. Now, I don't know how she has time for any of that. This young lady trains 8 hours a day, in the morning before school, and then in the evening.
Full schedule.
As we wait on our score for Mariana Webster, the competition has been exciting all week long here at the U.S. Olympic Festival. We've seen some records set. Shannon Miller's all-around score was the highest ever at a U.S. Olympic Festival, and she continues to dominate here.
I've also been very impressed with all of the other gymnasts. They're really rising to the occasion. I think they're learning something, watching Shannon Miller, Carrie Strug, Amanda Borden, who've competed so well internationally for the United States and really brought that level up to heights it's never seen before. The United States is certainly becoming, if not the power in gymnastics, certainly one of the powers.
And the future looks good heading into the 1996 Olympics with people like Mariana Webster and, of course, young Tanya Myers, who's 11 years old, Jenny Thompson, and Dominique Mociano, and we'll have a chance to see them perform. The score was a 9.575 for Mariana Webster. Our gymnastics competition will continue when we come back.
Coverage of the 1990s.
Our individual event finals competition here at the U.S. Olympic Festival continues. Shannon leading the balance beam competition with a 9.9. And this young lady is 11-year-old Tanya Myers. She comes out of Atlanta, Georgia, where she hopes, of course, to compete in the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. Right now, she's training in Oklahoma City.
And Bart, she won the American Classic this year, the junior division in the all-around and this event.
Look at her smile. How can she have the presence of mind to smile while she's going through this routine?
Especially after doing one of the most difficult jumps on the beam, that arch back with her head going all the way back. 2 layout step backs. I know why she's smiling. She's made finals on beam with the big guys. She's competing against seniors here, competing in the finals. Seen that pose before. Kim Zimeskel made that her trademark. And Tanya does it very well.
She's a 5th grader at Cassidy Middle School in Oklahoma City.
Wow, look at that flexibility. And she still has a smile on her face. Here's the dismount. Oh, she went for a triple twist. Almost made it. Just a little bit short on that twist. A very difficult dismount that has the highest rating in the new rules.
The crowd just loves her here. I don't think she has any idea how good she is, Kathy Johnson.
These are 2 layouts, back to back. You know, her legs are a little bit bent right now. She's 11 years old, though, and so many more years ahead of her to perfect all of these skills. Now here's where she tries a triple twist. You'll see how far she gets it around. There's 2 and just about gets that 3rd one around.
Well, that was certainly a treat and someone to keep an eye on in the future. U.S. gymnastics program obviously will be making transitions. The careers of these young gymnasts are so short that you never know how long you're going to see a Shannon Miller or a Kim Zimeskel at the top of the world rankings. So it seems like 1 or 2 years, and then someone, little 11-year-old like this, Tanya Myers, comes along and takes over the leadership of gymnastics.
Bart, I have a theory. If they can continue to have as much fun as Tanya seems to be having, they'll last longer. What a thrill for her to be in the finals with Shannon Miller, Carrie Strug, gymnast she trains with. Now she's right up there with him in the finals, the Olympic Festival.
To look at her face sort of tells you that she believes, hey, I belong here with these girls. 9.65. Terrific routine.
Our next athlete is Tracy.
Now we're going to go over and
Summer
take a look at Tracy Summer. Comes from North Stars Gymnastics, coached by Tony Gaiman in New Jersey.
This is her 2nd Olympic Festival. And Bart, she has improved so much since I saw her last. Front tuck, mount. Beautiful turn. The leg back in attitude position. The judges are not only looking for difficulty, like these tumbling sequences, but also in the dance as well. You'll notice the gymnasts are doing much more difficult leaps like that It's called a sheep jump. Don't ask me why it's called a sheep jump. I have no idea. But
I was just about to.
Very difficult with the head going back and you take your eyes off the balance beam. Very risky. Their front flip on the beam. We're seeing a lot more of those now because they've been given a higher value. And the gymnasts are smart. They want the bonus points. They're doing the skills that will give them just that. Round off, double back. Oh, over-rotated, but she was able to stay on her feet. Unfortunately, several of those steps, that'll add up in deductions.
Otherwise, great. Good job.
Here's that dismount again. Notice she just pulls it around a little too much. Gets her feet too far in front of her. Her hips are back, so she has to take a few steps back to regain her balance.
When she's not doing gymnastics.
Our leader in this competition, of course, is Shannon Miller with a 9.9. The 9.65 for Tanya Myers put her in second place. And we'll wait on Tracy Summers' score.
It's such a difficult thing to judge routines and compare them when they're all so different.
Next to perform on the balance beam is Carrie Strug, who is so close to being the #1 gymnast in the United States, perhaps even the world, and on any given day could upset Shannon Miller. As a matter of fact, Carrie Strug comes into the beam finals today as the #1 qualifier from the preliminary competition.
Everyone talks about Carrie being in Shannon's shadow. I actually think it's good for both of them. And Carrie handles her position very well right now. It's making her a better gymnast. And at some point, it'll be her time, as she says. And it makes Shannon a better gymnast, too, because there's somebody right there in her own gym pushing her every single day in workout.
And the score for Tracy, 9.
And we have the score for Tracy Summers is a 9.5, which will put her in 4th place. And we're getting ready now for the performance. Bronze medalist at the Olympics, Carrie Strug.
This could very well be an outstanding routine. She did so well during the all-around competition. In fact, she won the preliminaries on this event. New mount for her, very difficult. She seems to be in peak condition, particularly on balance beam, the uneven bars. She's having a little trouble on floor and vault because of a calf muscle that's very sore. Carrie is so improved on this event. Her form is better. She's much more aggressive, much more confident. Here's her 2 layouts. Oh, a little quick through that position. She normally hits that in a handstand, then lowers down through a planche position. She had an excellent dismount in the all-around competition. This is a double back. Good landing. Oh, she worked on that landing. But what's nice to see, she had a couple of areas in the routine that could have been more of a problem than they were. She corrected them immediately, so there really won't be a deduction. We know her routine, so we know when it's not quite exactly the way it's planned. Dismounts a double back. Watch her work for this landing. She doesn't want to move her feet.
So exciting to see Carrie Strug really putting together some strong performances here. She originally comes from Tucson, and then she trained with Bella Caroli for a couple of years, then went to Brown's Gymnastic Academy in Florida, and now she has settled for about the last year at Steve Nuno's and Dynamo Gymnastics in Oklahoma City. our leader still Shannon Miller. Although that was a great routine for Carrie Strug, I don't believe that that'll out Shannon from the top spot. The score is a 9.75, which puts Carrie Strug in second place. Tanya Myers will move to third, so the 11-year-old will get a third place. And we'll be back with more gymnastics. You can see Shannon Miller gets the gold, Carrie Strug the silver, Tanya Myers the bronze. We'll be back with more gymnastics. Well, thank you, Ron. Our gymnastics coverage continues here at the individual event finals. Of course, the big story, as always, is Shannon Miller, who has won 4 gold medals up to this point, the all-around team, the vault, and the balance beam. She took a silver in the uneven bars, which was not necessarily a shock, but certainly a great moment for this young lady, Carrie Strug, who has 3 silvers, the all-around, the team, and the balance beam. But she came up with a great performance earlier on the bars to win the gold, Kathy.
Bart, Carrie has gotten better and better on this event. Look at the great form throughout the routine. She's added this new skill, very difficult, that 1.5 twist right into a pike front somersault. Her second release move comes up right here after the full pirouette, a reverse heck. And this was the best part of the exercise, a full twisting double bat. Look at this landing, unbelievable. And a time for her to shine.
And after so many years of being in the shadow of people like Kim Zemeskel and Betty Okino and Shannon Miller, perhaps, as you mentioned, that this is the time for Carrie Strug to take over some leadership.
I'm so impressed with this gymnast, able to handle the pressure of not only competing at a high level, but right alongside Shannon Miller with a lot of attention to Shannon, and she just keeps plugging away, getting better and better.
So the results on the uneven bars, Carrie Strug just by 25 thousandths of a point over Shannon Miller, the gold, silver, and Jessica Washburn earned the bronze. Our fourth and final event here in the individual event finals is perhaps the most entertaining of all the women's gymnastics events, and that, of course, is the floor exercise. Amber Erdos is going to perform. She is 16 years old, comes out of Phoenix, Arizona, where she's coached by Stormy Eaton. And Amber is in the competition because one of our other young ladies, Jenny Thompson, who got sick yesterday, had to scratch. And we're sorry we can't see 12-year-old Jenny Thompson perform, but it's a good break for Amber Erdos.
Especially since she gets to perform on her favorite event. Whip back through to a triple twist.
Well done.
When these gymnasts perform the skills so easily, it's hard to appreciate how difficult and how complex the skill is. Pike double back. Her tumbling's a little bit ahead of her dance. Here's your final tumbling run. Another triple twist. Very difficult at the end of the routine.
So a terrific break for Amber Erdos, who was an alternate coming in today's individual event finals, and just at the last minute, only about 15 minutes ago, did little Jenny Thompson have to scratch because of an illness. She's been suffering with the flu, so what a strong performance at the last minute.
Great first tumbling run right here. Actually, this is her final tumbling run. A triple twist. Just barely misses getting it all the way around. But as I said, it's very difficult at the end of the routine.
Yeah, they just announced that Amber Erdos is a huge Phoenix Suns basketball fan. And, of course, we're in what was until the end of this year the home court for the San Antonio Spurs. They're moving across town to the Alamo Dome next season. The score a 9.7 for Amber Erdos. And she has to be happy with that. A last-minute substitute. Did a great job.
From Joplin, Missouri, we welcome Mariana Webster.
Our next performer on the floor, this is a young lady who, as we have seen, comes from Dynamo Gymnastics in Oklahoma City. She's 14 years old, originally from Joplin, Missouri.
Now this is a triple twist during the all-around competition. She had a little trouble getting it all the way around. No. Still some trouble. It actually is more like a 2.5, but she's very quick to get those feet around. Kind of give the illusion of a triple twist. This is a front pass. Watch this. She to a front with a full and go right into another front somersault. The other day we were joking that you don't really have to know the new code of points. You can just sit and watch a competition and figure it out. The skills you begin to see more often, you know, are the higher rated skills and the ones in which the gymnast can receive bonus with. Final tumbling run. Double back. Good landing.
Well, Kathy Johnson, although she was a little shaky on her opening tumbling run, she had a strong finish.
Very strong finish. It's a double back. In tucked position. She just gets it around, but doesn't move.
And we'll be back with the score for 14-year-old Mariana Webster and the final performances of our stars here at the U.S. Olympic Festival.
To cool down in the West, sometimes you had to boil over.
Score for Mariana Webster was a 9.525. Good showing here in the floor exercise. And now we're in for one unbelievable treat, Kathy Johnson. This young lady just ignited this building the other day with her performance and her presentation on floor exercise. This is 11-year-old Dominique Mociano, trains at Caroli's Gymnastics. And wait till you see this girl sell this routine.
And Bart, we've had the impression the whole festival that everyone is only watching Shannon Miller. Well, during the warm-ups, a huge applause went up, and it was little Dominique warming up her tumbling.
You might remember this music. It was Kim Zemeskel's.
Full twisting double back.
She's 4'3", 55 pounds.
And every inch of her is full of talent and an ability to perform, which is rare at this age. What's this? 2 whip backs due to a double back. We saw a pass similar to that from Kim Zemeskel when she won the world all-around title. And a big finish. Double back in pike position. And that was way up in the air for her when you're only 4'3". Now that makes you smile.
And boy, did they love that performance here. Amazingly powerful tumbling for such a young gymnast, Kathy.
Watch these. These are whip backs right in a row. She does 2 of them and then goes through to a very difficult double back. We're going to see Shannon Miller do a similar pass, but through to a double twist. And a double pike finish. This was excellent. Good technique, good height, way up above her head, and a great landing.
It's perhaps important to compare this young lady to some of the other greats. She has that smile and that personality that just says, hey, look at me.
I think a very bright future ahead of this young gymnast.
We saw the same kind of presentation from Kim Zamesco. We saw it from Mary Lou Retton. We saw it from Olga Corbett.
She has something special.
23 years ago. Yep, she really does.
It's exciting to be at the Olympic Festival because so often this happens. You see the new stars, and then a few years later you go, didn't I see her when she was little bitty at the Olympic Festival? And now all of a sudden they're winning Olympic medals.
That is score for Dominique is a 9.60, puts her in second place. But as you can hear, the crowd of 13,500 here at the Hemisphere would like to have seen a much higher score for that performance. Well, there's been a correction. They moved it up to 9.65, so that still didn't appease this crowd. Now to 16-year-old Shannon Miller on one of the events where she reigns as the world champion.
Bart, this is a total performance. Very polished and a combination of excellent tumbling and dance. See if you recognize those whip backs. We do a double twist. Final tumbling run. It's a pike double back. Oh, and a perfect landing.
Oh,
beautiful.
and they're getting on their feet for Shannon Miller.
We have become so accustomed to this type of landing, this type of perfection. Every single time her feet are perfectly together. And all this with a sore back.
It's interesting with all the great things that have happened to Shannon Miller over this past year. She said the biggest thing of all this summer was that a couple of months ago she was awarded her driver's license.
It's been very exciting to watch her in this competition with the U.S. Championships coming up less than a month. We're going to see great things.
Well, we'll wait on the score for Shannon Miller on that floor exercise routine. A 9.975, just short of perfection. What a treat to see Shannon Miller with that elegance and that style.
You can feel it.
So we're back for the last couple of performances here in the individual event finals at the Olympic Festival. This is 15-year-old Jessica Washburn from the American Twisters in Florida.
This is her first year on the national team. She did so well over on the uneven bars in the event finals.
She was 5th in the all-around at this competition 2 days ago.
Won a bronze medal on bars. That was a beautiful first pass. We seldom see it. It's a double twisting front. She does more unusual skills in gymnastics. Even her bar routine was packed full of skills you rarely see. And the judges really liked it. She won the bronze medal. And here she is on the floor exercise. 2.5 twist, little stumble to the side. And a solid performance.
You're right, Kathy. The routine was filled with unusual moves. The handspring front with a double twist at the mount. You never see that. And an unusual dismount sequence as well.
She finished with a 1.5 twisting front and tumbled out of it for her final tumbling run.
Let's take a look at that one more time.
It's not the most highly difficult tumbling run, but in the new code of points, she's able to get bonus points for it. She has a little bit of trouble tumbling out of it, so she'll have a deduction for lack of amplitude.
Summer Reed is 5'3" and 3/4.
And as we wait for the score for Jessica, our final performer will be coming up shortly, and that, of course, is Carrie Strug. The score to beat in floor exercise is a 9.975 with Shannon Miller, which is going to be a tough one to beat. Amber Erdos, who was a last-minute replacement for Jenny Thompson, is now having second place in her hand with a 9.7. Dominique Moceanu, who delighted this crowd here, is in third with a 9.65. But that's in jeopardy now because we're going to get a chance to see one of the most powerful tumblers that the American team has ever produced in Carrie Strug, who tends sometimes to be too powerful.
Part she's hampered a little bit by a sore calf muscle. So she's going to water down her tumbling, but even watering down, as Shannon did in her floor exercise because of her back, she has a high enough level of difficulty for this competition.
And you saw that score, 9.475 for Jessica Washburn.
And I think people watching can immediately see the polish that Shannon Miller and Carrie Strug possess. And they have a quality they're accustomed to performing, and they bring in the audience a little bit more. And they have paid close attention to detail, perfecting every tiny little element. Full twisting double back.
That's one of her better landings.
But notice how everything is taken to the fullest. Complete amplitude. This is a new pass for Carrie, trying to incorporate front tumbling in her routine. It's a front with a full. She continues through, and that's about the best I've seen her do that pass. Very well done. It's hard to keep the momentum going out of front tumbling. Final tumbling run. Double back. Good landing. I have to say I've seen her tumble better when she's not hampered with the injury, but I've never seen her do an entire performance better.
As you mentioned, we've seen her almost go flying out of the floor exercise area because of her power. Perhaps the fact that she's hampered a little with this injury in her calf is causing her to use a little more control in her landings.
And technique. It's so easy to just rely on power, Bart. Boy, I would if I had it. But look at that. Credit really has to be given to all of these gymnasts who are training so hard now, 7-8 hours a day in the gym, repetitions, really trying to perfect everything to become the best gymnast in the world.
And the score, 9.90.
The score, a 9.9 for Carrie Strug, which will give her second place in the floor exercise.
A well-earned 9.9.
She, of course, has a silver medal in the all-around here to Shannon Miller, a silver medalist as a team performer, a silver medalist in the balance beam, and she'll get another silver here in the floor. Shannon Miller with that 9.975 gets the gold. Carrie Strug the silver, and Amber Erdos, the last-minute replacement, earns the bronze. And Kathy Johnson, it's been a great couple of days here. Shannon Miller looking terrific. Her 5 gold medals and 1 silver is the most successful at any Olympic festival for a woman gymnast. And it's also an exciting opportunity to see some of these youngsters. Dominique Mochano was a treat.
Absolutely. And more important, it's very exciting to see them this good at this time of the season. They still have the U.S. Championships to come. They're already in this peak condition. It's only going to get better.
Well, that's the story from gymnastics here, and Shannon Miller, once again, our star, and it's been a real treat working with you, Kathy, these last 4 days of gymnastics competition, and we've seen some historic performances. Let's go back to Ernie Johnson, who's in the studio. Ernie?